Hi team, this is George. Just want to go over the final assignment that's due at the end of this week. We also have our um, final exam this week. So let's go ahead and jump in our course here. If you end up at the home page in the beginning, you're obviously going to see that. But then scroll down to, if I can, if it's going to let me, scroll down to scoring rubrics and samples. What happens there is we then have our examples. We have our instructional aid, instructor package, facilitation guide. And these are the parts and pieces that are required for the assignment. Now, your facilitation guide is required, and the PowerPoint or whatever you're going to show, illustrate is required. Doesn't necessarily have to be a PowerPoint. It just so happens that the example of this one was PowerPoint. So let's go ahead, and your instructor package is any materials that may be needed, such as worksheets. If you want to add your job aid here or anything like that, you can use here. But the important piece can be our facilitation guide. And here, notice, I'm just going to get into potatoes. An introduction. The introduction is just a quick, what I like to call heart of the class, why it's important, things like that, and a basic overview for another instructor, because the instructor is going to be the one to see this. Nobody else sees this, so you want to be able to hand it off to somebody who has the content knowledge to be able to teach. And then it has your terminal objective, enabling objectives. Now in this one, notice it's not perfect, because you notice the enabling objectives, ability to, ability to, ability to. So that's not really a strong objective you'd want. Build strong relationships, convey excellent communication, things like that. So this isn't perfect by any means, but it is a good example. And then there's a quick overview and a needs analysis. Now for these parts here, we don't want to get too far into the weeds. We want to kind of show what we found and how we went about it as far as the needs analysis go. For needs analysis, I would do, I would conduct needs analysis through interviews, and from these interviews, this is the information I would obtain. And then we get here for our different strategies for our job transference, our return on investment. Notice very high levels. Where you want the details in this piece here. Let's get into something other than the introduction though. So this one, what is autism? You can ask a question. What I generally do there is I put the enabling objective, so I know that that is what I'm trying to meet. Do you have to do that? No. But that's just an easy way to keep yourself on task, on target with that. And the time, this section will last approximately 45 minutes. Now, we always put the learner first because that's what matters, the learner and the activities. So in the act of learning, what activities are they going to participate in to gain the knowledge, gain the skills, whatever it may be, and then how are we going to evaluate it? The level of participation is going to be the evaluation for, in this case, what is autism. And notice here, facilitator, PowerPoint slide, introduce the questions of what is autism. So let's jump to slide 5 and see, oh, what is autism? And then, you know what, there's notes about how to kind of lead that discussion right there, share the insights. And these insights are also available right here. They're inflexible. They need to know what's happening. So that's our content. So this person took that content and put his notes in the PowerPoint. So it's in two places. Do you have to do that? No, it's sometimes a good practice. Depends what you're using. So if you're not using PowerPoint, you don't want to take those notes and move it if you're using something like Prezi or anything else. So feel free to make little videos, whatever you want to make. It does not have to be PowerPoint, but in this case it just is. Then they're going to allow individuals to turn and talk. Oh, guess what? This matches here. They're going to engage in turn and talk discussions. So this is why this is powerful. So a different instructor can take this. They could still create the same environment that you have designed. Because what we want to have happen is when different instructors are given this, the overall goals of the course are met. They're going to have their own take on it, their own personality, of course, but we want the objectives and everything to be met. This is how they will be met. Will the turn and talk look differently between people? Absolutely, and that's okay. But for us designing it, that's what we want. Learning activity, facilitator activity, instructor tips if there's anything important. This type one, I have to give them time to discuss. And Discussion is key to this section, and then the content right here in the turn and talk. So what I want them to be able to grasp is this piece right here. So if I'm seeing that not happen, then I know what I need to interject. And then we come here, ability to build a strong relationship. Okay, what's the evaluation level of corrective observation, levels incorrect observation, presentation authenticity. So it looks like they might be presenting. So let's see, they're going to engage in discussion, they're going to view a video, they're going to pair in groups, they're going to engage in observation of behavior, and they're going to engage in creating a presentation on the basis of rapport. That's how the learner is going to learn this ability to build a strong relationship. Relationship is really the key, not just in this thing, but for learning. Relationship is the key between peer-to-peer, peer-to-instructor, and student to content as well. And then PowerPoint slide 6, introduce concept of watch, listen, and learn. So that's what the facilitator is going to do in order to make all of these happen. The entire reason for the learner being in the first box is because that's a physical cue of who comes first. So we're learner-centered rather than instructor-centered or content-centered. How they get that content and how they build those connections to that content matter, because that's how we get to know it on a deeper level. So that is, so if you want an even simpler way to do it, put it enabling objectives here and how you're going to meet them, following the same exact format. The next enabling objective here, and where do all the enabling objectives come from? Well, they come from right here. So you have a terminal objective, enabling objectives, and then how we meet them right here. And then at the end, sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Oh, this one was nice because they talked about different reinforcers and trackers. So if you have something that need to be in there and understood by the instructor and students more, you can just paste it right in there. And then you can actually use, that's our evaluation. So just the evaluations are captured throughout the process. And in this case, it's participation. Sometimes the evaluations may be a test, but think of the best ways to evaluate, and also think of the best way to evaluate the program, if it is effective or not, because that does matter. So I hope this helps. And to be clear about what is absolutely required is the facilitation guide and whatever you're going to use as a presentation. It could be individual videos, could be anything. It does not have to be PowerPoint. This is just one way of putting a deck together. So I hope that this is helpful, and have a great day.